In this final video, I'm going to show you how to create a dashboard using Tableau. Dashboard is basically combining all the visualizations that you made together and making it look pretty. It's a pretty common way to show your reports, and it's not like any normal kind of report because Tableau, it's very dynamic. Users can click on each set of data and you can filter it and highlight it whichever way you would like. And a lot of you may be asking, how can I make an effective dashboard? Now, there are a lot of methods to do this, and if you Google effective dashboards in Tableau, you'll find a lot of pages. One of them may be including from Tableau's own website for Tableau Desktop Best Practices for Effective Dashboards. Now, this is a really interesting read in itself, and it could give you a lot of great insights. Now, something important to know is this principle right here, is where your eye moves. So when you go to a website, a lot of times you'll find a large graphic that spans the entire web page. Okay, and it'll cover up the whole thing and it'll grasp your attention. This is what you want to have your users be fully engaged into, is the visualization or insight that you want to highlight. And this could be sometimes if your title of the presentation is a question, the first visualization you want to have is something that answers that question, or that it gives you the most profound insight. So here in this, we got a large graph that's saying profit by state. Tells you that Texas is suffering the most and California and New York are doing great. Pretty simple way to do this. And then we can go further down and your eyes will want to gravitate towards the left bottom and then go to the right bottom. So this here tells us in color profit by segment, and then sales and average profit. What we don't want to do is make it crowded so that we have all sorts of visualizations that are of equal size, kind of disproportionate. Hopefully this will load. Yeah, if you click on here, yeah, this is just crowded. You got visualizations that don't line up. You gotta scroll, they look kind of ugly, sorry, I gotta keep clicking, and they're all kind of the same size. Whereas this one follows that rule of thumb where you click and you see a big visualization, and you go to the left and right, and it'll show you some other interesting data. Alright, so let's take a look at a website that follows this rule. If you Google search apple.com, you'll likely find a design similar to this. And of course, it may have a different product on there, but basically it follows a similar principle. Okay, so in this case, we got like a toolbar up at the top, and that could be useful in including in your dashboard as well. And it has a very large visualization. In fact, it has, I think, about 3, showcasing the main things that Apple wants you to look at or buy. In this case, is the latest and greatest, the iPhone X, the iPhone 8, the product Red, and an iPad. And then after that, it kind of splits up into 2 different things. So we see iOS 12. My eyes want to go towards these bottom ones, so usually from left to right. I believe there's even a science behind that. Truncates down into 2 different boxes, and then it gives me all this specific data. Okay, so this is an example of a website using that same principle. Alright, so let's get into Tableau, and go ahead and click on this button right here. It looks like a 4 square that says New Dashboard. Okay, when we create a new dashboard, we can of course name this however we like. I'm just going to keep it as dashboard number 1, and here are a couple elements that we want to look at. So first one is, we have 2 tabs, dashboard and layout. Dashboard, we have a couple buttons here, device preview. So a lot of times you will be presenting to people and share with them this Tableau workbook, and you want to create a view for desktop, tablet, and phone. And you can even just specify the model if you like to kind of give you the pixel size of what it's going to look like. Best practice is to design a different layout for each. For those of you who are in web design and development, many websites are being developed mobile first, and then working from there, because most people are accessing websites and things like that through their mobiles. So that could also be a good practice for you as well, just starting from the device preview, going to phone, and then designing your layout from there, and then going up. So for this one, we're just going to use the default, and you can of course change the default size. I just have by clicking here under size, you can do a fixed size or automatic. It'll adjust depending on how many visualizations you have, and then a range. Desktop browser is the one that I picked, and you can of course do any size you would like as well. Generic desktop, they also have dimensions and pixelage for this, and just however you want depending on the kind of program or screen you're going to be using. You can even adjust the pixels for width and height. Okay, I'm just going to keep it desktop browser 1000 by 800 pixels. Okay. And then below that, it's going to have sheets. If you hover over them, it'll show you an example of what we did. So this will look familiar from the previous videos that we made. Okay, and then below here we have objects. Now this has to do a lot with adding elements to the dashboard, such as a title using text, and you can kind of create what are called layout containers and horizontal. So horizontal and vertical. So basically, this helps it so that it'll snap to alignment, and that's what this whole tiled button is for, is that if you drag and drop a visualization, that's not a good example because that's blank right there. If you drag and drop a visualization, see how it snaps, and you can hover it over to certain places to move it, and it'll highlight where it'll move it exactly, and it'll snap it. If you do floating, you can just drag and drop this really oh, actually I can't do that necessarily because it looks like it's in a layout container, and that's actually not what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So, but floating essentially is being able to click and drag something to where it's not tied to, or it's not snapping to an alignment specifically. You can just drag and drop it anywhere. Okay. So you can add your company logo or website, things like that, with images and web pages to make it look professional and according to your company. You can also format everything here. So I'm going to look at my visualizations and see what I want. So I got this insurance premium table here where it shows state and the dollar amount of premiums. I'm probably going to want to use that. I decided not to use this one in my analysis. I do want to use this though, because I feel like it's color coordinated. It shows clearly what states are kind of you're more likely to be involved in a fatal accident than anything. And then I want to use these three graphs, these maps that tell me by state, that are kind of like heat maps a little bit, tell me by state the percentage of fatal accidents depending on the cause. And we did that in the last video by creating a parameter control. So here's what I want to do. I want to create a title. So I'm going to click on text and then drag it up here. And I'm going to title this, and you can title this whatever you want. I'm going to title mine, which states have the most dangerous drivers. Okay. And I'm going to hide that. I'm going to make it Tableau semi-bold, make it even bolder, and give it like a size of 20. Okay. And looks like this made it, oh, this is floating, excuse me. I don't want that. Oh, yeah. So what this does, sorry, this is something important to note, is if you click on floating, anything you create in here is going to be able to be dragged and dropped and not going to be changed from tile to here. So let me just exit out of that. I apologize for not clarifying that. So let's go ahead and go back to tiled and go to text and click right over here, and then do it again. Which states have the most dangerous drivers? And select all of this. Tableau semi-bold, change it to a font of, let's say, 20. Center it. Perfect. So this is what takes up the whole window because there's nothing else to show it in. So let's create a vertical layout container. I want to put it below the title. And in fact, I want the title to be way up here. Okay. I want to kind of out of the way. And I'm going to add two visualizations here. I want to add this one. And then I want to add the graphs right here. And I'm going to add that below as well. Okay. So let's change a couple things. We don't want these blank ones here, so we're just going to hide the titles. Hide the titles. And hide the titles. Let's try. Oh, another thing to add is that you'll notice that this doesn't fit in the entire window, and the reason for that is because when we go to the sheet itself up here, it tells us what do we want, how do we want it to fit. And so if you fit the width, it'll kind of change the height and everything like that. So we just want to fit the entire view. So if we go back, that'll reflect in this entire window, hopefully. Let's try that again. So alcohol impairment, distracted driving, speeding. Does speeding get in there? Speeding did not get in there. So let's add speeding in there. And let's hide the title. We want this to be floating, the parameter to be floating, because we want it to just show up right here in this little window. Just double check and make sure those work. Okay, we're getting there. You just format this a little bit so it's zoomed in. They're all kind of somewhat aligned. Let's change it a little bit since it's over here. So I'm just going to apologize, so you can skip ahead in this video if you don't want to see this boring part. I'm just going to do a general alignment. Okay, cool. So this is good right here. We're going to format this in a little bit, but I just want to go over a couple things real quick with you. Let me just, I don't want this in there, so, but I do want this guy. So let me just refresh this. I'm going to take that out and put it back in again real quick because I want it to fit. Okay, oh, that's what this is for. It's showing the title right here, and you can see in this the title is in white text, which is why it has that little space. So we're going to have to format that as well. Now you can have a legend if you like, but I kind of don't want that, so I want to take up the whole view. And the last thing I want to have is the insurance premium table, and I want that to be over here. Wow, yeah, I definitely don't want to take up that much space though. Let's cut that down just a little bit. I want it to show all the values. Okay, cool. That'll do it for me. Okay. Now, where do we want to start from here? So, because I hid all the titles, which was a necessary thing to do in the parameter, this does not have a title. Okay, and see, it's in the same, seems to be kind of changing in the same vertical table. So we're going to go ahead and put this vertical table right here, and we're going to put this map inside this vertical table so it's not in the same one. And same deal with this guy right here. I'll make sure they're all in the same table. Okay. Looks like this guy is also not. Okay. Just double check. Okay, cool. So they're all on the same table. They're not switching up, and that's once again because I created a layout container in which all the maps were contained and put into one, so it wasn't conflicting with this guy right here. Kind of a weird thing to do with parameters and alignment and things like that. So let's we also want to add a title right up here above this, and I'm gonna just call causes of fatal accidents by state. So this tells us right here that it's kind of a label for what we want here. So I'm going to make this semi-bold as well, and I'm going to give it a 12 font. And then I'm going to edit the title as well over here, and this is going to be, for now, we'll just change it semi-bold, and we'll make it a font size of 12. Oh, looks like the colors are a little different. Let me just double check this real quick. This seems to be a lighter gray, so let's go ahead and change that. Select the text and change it to a darker gray. And is this the same? See what I mean by nitpicking? You gotta go through literally everything to make sure that it looks the way you want it to. So let's go ahead and change the title on this one as well. We want to change it to semi-bold, 12 point, and then change it, make sure that's okay. And I'm gonna center this. And actually I want to edit this. I could just leave it the way it is and call the sheet name. I could just rename the sheet. Sure, I'm just going to call it insurance premiums. See, that's good. That'll kind of give it a little more space. Is there any sort of alignment I want to do? Okay, that should be okay. So let's talk about the title actually real quick over here. So instead of giving this a static title where it doesn't change, I wonder if I can make it so I can have the cause of accident be like have this change and put like speeding or distracted driving or something like that. So when I change the graph, the title will also change. So let's go ahead and actually edit the text, and then here's something cool I want you guys to look at. So let's go ahead and delete this text right here, and I'm going to insert parameters, cause of accident. So, and I'm going to say related deaths by state. Oh, don't want a question mark there. So if I press OK, alcohol impairment related deaths, and if I change it to distracted driving, it'll also give it that title. And I definitely want that title above. And then let's do that again with speeding related. Alcohol, distracted. Yeah, so it kind of gives us a dynamic title. I like that. So I'm going to keep that. Okay. Looks like the G's things are a little bit hidden over here. I want to expand that just a little more. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at something else. So looks like the colors are a little choppy here. So how about I go ahead and change this? I'm going to make the main title. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to layout over here, and this is where I can change the background. Okay, I'm going to select the layout container, and then I'm going to select the layout container that's in, which is this big one. You can also find it. Layout containers are highlighted in a blue shading, and so if I want to format it, you can. I think you can. Yeah. So what you could do, click on that, and then go to Layout tab over here, and then let's change the background. Let's change the background to a black. Okay, and then we'll also change. We probably want this to be black, and we want this title to be black. Okay, so if I want that to happen, I may have to go into the tables themselves and format it. So let's go into this table, for example, and I want to edit this. No, that's not right. What I want to do is format. Right click into the table and hit format. Let's go into the shading. The header, I want to shade. Oh, that's too dark. How about we just stick it to where it's 2 down from black over here, and we'll just do the worksheet. We want it to be. Let's go ahead and change it to black. And you kind of gotta change the banding a little bit. I just want this to be the same. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of play around over here. I apologize for not being that savvy with coloring. I really should be better. But I am not, and I apologize for that. Oh, actually, I want that to be black as well. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pause the video here and then just kind of get the shading to what I want, and then I'll explain it. Okay, so I apologize. I just took a couple days to finish recording this. I went ahead and just formatted it the way that I wanted to here. Essentially what I did was I took a look at the sheets and I formatted them, and you could do that with right clicking in the dashboard and formatting it, or you can go to the individual sheets and just change the color. What I did here is you'll notice that I had the primary background be just a solid black with white text, and then I had a secondary kind of like really dark gray, almost black, for the headers over here, and I eliminated padding. Looks like I didn't do that with this, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that padding. And padding is basically just space inside of a box. So, and I think they do that by pixels. And yeah, that's essentially what I did. And what we're going to do now is, just real quick, what I did is we're going to make this a little more dynamic. So if you notice, if you click on any state in this graph or in any other of these graphs, or if you click on a value in here, you'll notice that it won't change anything in this graph or in this visualization right here. So once again, if you click right here, most likely nothing will happen here, nothing will happen here. I want to make it a little more dynamic, so when I click on a value, for example Missouri, it'll highlight the state as well as single out the state in this huge list and highlight it as well. So what this is called is an action. So there's a couple of different ways to do this. The fast way to do this is to click on this button right over here and say use as filter. So this is kind of works similar to what a slicer would do in Excel. Now there's a couple of differences though. There's highlights and then there's filter actions. Filter actions is essentially what I added to this guy right here. So, and a highlight action is what I added to these two visualizations here. So let's go back to Missouri, click on it. You'll notice that if I did a filter, it only excludes and singles out one value and eliminates everything else. That's what a filter does. A highlight does, it keeps all the other values and the color coordinations that it has and only highlights it so that you can see where it fits in the grand scheme of things. This can be a powerful tool in visualizations. So we don't want to add a filter necessarily to these. We want to do some little more specific, so we're not going to use this quick button. In other cases you could absolutely use this quick button over here, but we're going to go over here and hit dashboard. We're going to add an action. Okay, I already have the actions added here, but what you're going to do is you're going to add a filter so that by clicking any of these you're going to filter out just a single value, and then a highlight action to, if any of these sheets are selected, then any of these sheets are going to be highlighted with the respective match. Okay, so you're going to hit add action and you're going to hit filter, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. I didn't really give it a name. You can give yours a name, especially if you have multiple filters, but you have source sheets, target sheets, and run action on. That's the only thing we really want to focus on. So by default, for some reason, it hits menu. We're not going to do that. We're going to hit select. So basically this is saying by selecting or clicking with your mouse a specific value on any of these sheets. So if you select on this sheet, select on this sheet, select on this sheet right here, this filter will apply. Okay, and target sheets is what sheets will it affect. And we don't want it to affect this or this because we don't want just the single values. We just want to have it highlighted and keep the color schemes. Okay, so we're going to uncheck everything and only have insurance premiums with this table checked. What that'll do is it'll single out that value, any value you select in any of these other graphs. Okay. What it doesn't do though, however, if I click on Mississippi, it doesn't necessarily single out, the value in this table when I select it. Why? Because most likely when you're looking at this visualization and going through the list, that wouldn't be as helpful for you. Sometimes you could just be clicking through really quickly. You don't want to have to click and then unclick again and then click and unclick again if it's just singled out. Now you'll see there what I did was that if I double clicked it, it did in fact apply that filter. But in most cases people are just going to single click and just want to scroll through. This is interesting. Cool. So we're going to add that highlight feature. It'll work for me right now, but not for you. So let's go to the actions, at least not yet, and add an action and call it a highlight action. And I'll just show you what I did with this one. So what I did with this one is that I didn't name it. I had it say select if any of the sheets are, if any values on any of the sheets are selected, I want it to affect any and all the sheets in my dashboard. Okay, that's what the highlight does. And of course I did it on select. Hover is another option you can do, of course, but we got to keep in mind sometimes we're presenting to people who have mobile devices, and you can't necessarily hover on a mobile device, at least not yet, right, of 2018. So we just want to keep it to be select, so when you click on a specific value, you can do that. So hit OK, hit OK, and let me just kind of demonstrate what that hover does. So you see we're not clicking on any of the values, we're just hovering over it. And you see it's a little slow on mine, but it could be because of the processing power of my computer, and I apologize for that, but that's what the hover highlight action does. Let's go ahead and change that back. Edit, hit select. Okay, great, awesome. So now it looks like I have what I want. Okay, so here I can tell from this visualization wherever your eye is attracted to first. So let's just say the top. So let's say anyone who sees this sees, oh wow, I wonder what state this is up here at the top left. Looks like this is North Dakota. North Dakota, I wonder where all these fatal accidents are coming from. It's not coming from distracted driving. Alcohol impairment's pretty high on this list. That's interesting. And the premiums are really low for North Dakota. Kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and click on that again and see what it tells us. Yeah, so it's not speeding. It looks like it's alcohol impairment. That's pretty interesting. So anyway, so that's it for this video. I just kind of wanted to show you how to make an interactive dashboard. Hopefully this was helpful. Once again, I'm not saying that you should use my way of creating a dashboard as the perfect or end-all way of creating a dashboard. It's going to be very different according to the needs of your business, the needs of the assignment that you have, and what data you're trying to present the most. Okay. For more information on creating effective dashboards, consult Tableau. Just Google it. Tableau also has a large community in which you can go ask questions, look at tutorials, even video tutorials. I believe you need to create a free Tableau public account, which is free once again, and you can use it to access this huge community. In addition to that, and actually I'll just show you that right now. So I can go ahead and publish this to my Tableau account if I wanted to right now, the public account. If I click on server and click Tableau public, I can save this to Tableau public. And when you hit save, when you hit save, it'll give you an error if you didn't change your data source from live to extract. So it has to be extract, or kind of like all in one package, and there can't be any sort of external connections. So you just, once you change it to there, then you should be able to upload and save to Tableau public. It'll connect to your Tableau public account. And let me pull up mine real quick. And this is what mine looks like. So in Tableau public, you can upload it, and this is public for anyone to see. You can of course change privacy settings, I believe, and it's a little buggy here, but it seems to be working okay for me. So it's got a couple views on here. You can add a description, and in this case I added the source to the data set, and you'll notice that this isn't just a screenshot. This is a fully dynamic report of how we built it in Tableau, but it's just online, and this is something that anyone can see. So this is an effective way to share your data set and your findings with other people through your public profile. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful. Once again, got any questions, consult the community. And any tutorials, YouTube or Google also work as well. They're awesome tools. And yeah, that's it for this project.